It's Monday, June 16th. In the headlines, University of the West Indies launches groundbreaking Africa-Caribbean AI collaboration. Popular Chinese mechanic shop to reopen. In business news, credit unions object to the Bank of Jamaica's removal of a banking clause. Regionally, International Monetary Fund warns of a Caribbean growth slowdown. And in sports, Reggae Boys to clash with Guatemala again in the United States. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Africa and the Caribbean are joining forces to shape the future of artificial intelligence. The University of the West Indies, MONA, recently hosted the official launch of the Africa-Caribbean Hub for Generative AI, a first-of-its-kind initiative led by the P.J. Patterson Institute for Africa-Caribbean Advocacy. The project, backed by international partners and funded by Afrexim Bank, aims to harness the region's natural resources, tech talent, and shared history to drive ethical innovation, digital inclusion, and stronger global policy influence. It's a bold step to ensure the region's lead, not lag, in the AI revolution. Danita Rodney was there and filed this report.
The University of the West Indies, in collaboration with the P.J. Patterson Institute for Africa-Caribbean Advocacy, has launched a groundbreaking initiative, the Africa-Caribbean Hub for Generative Artificial Intelligence. Backed by the African Export-Import Bank, the project will begin with a 2-year pilot study aimed at strengthening AI research, innovation, and economic development across both regions. At the launch, former Prime Minister P.J. Patterson said the hub is designed to create a shared ecosystem that fuels sustainable growth for Africa and the Caribbean.
We have obtained some seed funding from the African Export-Import Bank to develop a working design to integrate African and Caribbean countries into new mutually beneficial logistics and enhanced intelligence partnerships aimed at harnessing synergies and fostering synthesis in economic and business collaboration.
He shares that one of the hub's goals is to leverage the region's natural resources to drive sustainable growth within the digital ecosystems.
The goal of this envisioned paradigm is to spearhead the development of generative artificial intelligence industries in these regions into localized, knowledge-intensive, and value and wealth-creating, globally competitive industries, based primarily on the leveraging of our natural resources, our talent pools, and to secure growth in digital ecosystems.
Former Prime Minister Patterson adds that while Africa and the Caribbean are rich in human and natural resources needed to advance artificial intelligence, both regions remain underrepresented in the global tech space, a gap he attributes to the lack of infrastructure and collaboration.
Yes, we are rich in natural resources, including minerals for AI infrastructure, such as cobalt, lithium, and even some elements of rare earth. We also have the presence of young, digitally savvy populations, but we lack the structured linkages and there's not the effective collaboration between the 6 regions. that has imposed a limit of our participation in emerging technologies.
He stressed that Africa and the Caribbean can no longer afford to be sidelined in global tech developments, and the new AI hub is aiming to bridge that gap.
The proposed hub will seek to bridge this gap by uniting Africa and the Caribbean, by catalyzing economic partnerships and fostering innovation in AI.
The Africa-Caribbean AI Hub marks a bold step in regional cooperation and technological growth, and officials say it's a step that could shape the future of two continents. Reporting for the news on PBCJ, I am Danita Rodney.
The upcoming second biennial Transformations, People, Quality and Technology Expo 2.0, scheduled for June 19 to June 22 in Kingston and Montego Bay, promises to provide visitors with immersive and engaging activities. More than 40 formations of the Jamaica Constabulary Force will be featured at the expo. Speaking at a JIS think tank, Senior Superintendent of Police Gary Francis, head of the JCF's Police Emergency Communication Center, and co-chair of the Expo's Productions Programs and Logistics Subcommittee, said the various units will showcase their roles, demonstrate operational capabilities, and engage the public through interactive presentations. He highlighted that many interactive opportunities will be available for attendees.
The exposition is geared to a multi-dimensional objective, which is educating, empowering, enlightening, and of course, there will be entertaining in the package also.
To ensure a family-friendly environment, a kids' village will be set up at both locations, allowing parents to bring their children to enjoy the event.
Our Department of Weapon and Tactics from our training branch will be very much active, and there will be, of course, interactive with the live simulator for firing firearms at any caliber that you want to participate in. Very interactive. So there will be more interactive session over by the Crimes and Security Portfolio, where the trafficking persons and anti-trafficking unit will be treating with that. The intellectual property will be having some of those. We'll be having the fraud squad.
Chinese-owned Wholehearted Car Service will be permitted to reopen its operations under strict conditions, including mandatory enrollment of employees in the Heart NSTA Trust program. Labor and Social Security Minister Pernell Charles Jr. made the announcement following an investigation triggered by concerns raised on social media and traditional media regarding the company's compliance with labor laws. In a statement released Sunday, the ministry said it had concluded its probe and reached an agreement with Wholehearted Car Service Limited to implement several corrective measures. These include enrolling all employees in the Heart NSTA Trust to obtain prior learning certificates, establishing a structured apprenticeship program with the Jamaica German Automotive School in partnership with the Heart NSTA Trust, allowing Heart NSTA Trust and JAGAS instructors to oversee the automotive mechanics operation to ensure knowledge transfer and skills development, submitting within 3 months of reopening a detailed list of all Jamaican workers, including names, wages, positions, and copies of fully endorsed employment contracts to the ministry. While welcoming foreign talent, Minister Charles Jr. committed to upholding labor laws, protecting workers' rights, and ensuring fair employment practices. He affirmed that the ministry will continue collaborating with relevant agencies to prevent exploitation and enforce regulations. The government is set to ease the financial burden on parents with the launch of a new rural school bus program. Some 326,000 students across rural Jamaica are expected to benefit from the initiative, which aims to provide safe, efficient, and affordable transportation to school. Speaking in the House of Representatives on Tuesday last, Science, Energy, Telecommunications and Transport Minister Darrell Vaz said the program will help parents save up to $180,000 annually on transportation costs.
The data on deaths and injuries among this vulnerable group of children as a result of collisions is stark, with 65 deaths over 3 years, from January 1st, 22 to May 30th, 25, a staggering 498 injuries over the same period. So when I ask for politics to be left out of the discussion, Madam Speaker, it is because it is unacceptable that over a 3-year period, to be averaging 22 deaths and 166 injuries per year of innocent school children that are just trying to get to school in a safe and sound manner.
The first phase will see 110 school buses deployed across 100 rural routes, servicing approximately 258 schools.
Come September morning, and I'm talking about this September 20 morning, September 25 morning, the tune is going to change to schoolers only. Schoolers only. That is what the driver of the school bus is going to be telling. And therefore, we will then have a dedicated service for school children, which is long overdue.
The buses will be distributed across rural parishes, including St. Andrew, St. Thomas, St. Mary, Portland, St. Anne, Trelawney, St. James, Hanover, Westmoreland, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, and Clarendon.
Currently, it costs parents in rural Jamaica anywhere from $150 to $300 per trip in the morning and in the evening. So you're talking about $300 to $600 a day, and it can increase. This bus system is going to have a flat fare of $50, no matter which route you're taking, which parish you're in.
Minister Vaz described the program as a key government priority to support rural communities and ensure access to education. Time now for the Business Report with Denise Williams.
Welcome to today's Business Report. I'm Denise Williams, here to bring you the stories shaping the financial world and guiding your journey to smarter business decisions. Let's dive into the top headlines. Robin Levy, CEO of the Jamaica Corporate Credit Union League, which represents 23 credit unions with 1 million members, says the organization objects to a recent Bank of Jamaica decision. The Credit Union League has taken issue with the removal of a clause from the Credit Union Special Provisions Bill that allows them to bypass the commercial banking system when clearing checks and trading in foreign exchange. Levy says the specially authorized credit union clause would allow processing of the transactions done by the credit unions without using the commercial banks as an intermediary. He says to RJR News that this provision is meant to be the first step toward giving credit unions full access to the financial system once the Bank of Jamaica begins regulating them. Business owners have until June 18th to submit applications for retail space in the newly developed Portmore Resilience Park. The Urban Development Corporation project developer is accepting applications from companies and individuals who want to open retail stores in its Portmore Resilience Park set for completion later this year. The park's main building will be able to accommodate 24 retail shops, 12 on the ground floor and another 12 on the first floor. There will also be 3 wooden kiosks and 2 containerized retail clusters. For the trading period ending June 13, 2025, these were the most actively traded stocks. Alternative energy company Wigton Energy Limited with 2,743,687 units traded, representing 27.76% of market sales volume. Beverage manufacturer Jamaican Teas Limited with 1,570,539 units traded, representing 15.89% of market sales volume. Toll Road Manager Trans Jamaican Highway Limited with 1,149,819 units traded, representing 11.63% of market sales volume. We now shift our focus to the forex market rate set by the Bank of Jamaica. On June 13, 2025, the Bank of Jamaica reported US $47.5 million purchased, US $52.2 million sold by forex traders. Forex traders earned $1.59, selling the US at $159.93 and buying the US at $158.34. The Canadian dollar netted forex traders $1.15 per transaction, with selling at $117.99 and buying at $116.84. The British pound yielded forex traders $1.48 in profits, with selling at $216.61 and buying at $215.13. For our credit report tip of the day, as a founder, your personal and business credit score is more than just a number. It's a powerful lever for unlocking investment and fueling your startup's growth. Here are ways your credit score can make a difference, plus how a coach or accelerator program can help you attract the right investors. So first up, your credit score helps you to get investment because it builds trust with investors as it demonstrates your financial responsibility and reliability. Also, your credit score eases bank loan approvals and increases your chances of getting approved for business loans. Given that running a business is a team sport, in addition to your credit score, getting pitch coaching will help you craft compelling, concise pitches that resonate with investors and highlight your financial strength. And that wraps up today's business report. I'm Denise Williams, reminding you that every financial decision is a step toward your future. Until next time, stay focused, stay informed, and keep striving for success. See you soon.
In regional news, a stark warning from the International Monetary Fund's Deputy Managing Director, Dr. Nigel Clark, who says the Caribbean is facing an urgent economic challenge with regional growth rates on the decline. Delivering the keynote address at the 2025 William G. Demas Memorial Lecture in Brazil, Dr. Clark pointed to decades-long stagnation that threatens progress and widens the gap between Caribbean nations and the developed world. He's calling for tailored long-term strategies to reverse the trend and secure better opportunities for the region's people.
Dr. Nigel Clark, Deputy Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, IMF, is raising concern about the Caribbean's declining economic growth rate. Dr. Clark made the statement while delivering the keynote address at the 2025 William G. Demas Memorial Lecture titled The Caribbean Challenge, Fostering Growth and Resilience Amidst Global Uncertainty. The event held in Brazil paid a tribute to the legacy of the Caribbean Development Bank's second president by highlighting key issues and strategies relevant to the economic progress of its member states. As a former governor of the bank, having served nearly 7 years in that role, Dr. Clark addressed the region's growth challenges, citing factors such as U.S. tariffs. However, he emphasized that the slowdown in growth predates these recent developments, pointing to a long-term trend that has been unfolding for decades.
Most Caribbean countries had significantly slower growth over the last 2 decades, that is 2001 to 2023, as compared with the previous 2 decades, 1980 to 2000. And on this slide, we have many of the countries of the Caribbean region, and what you see is that for most countries, apart from 3, growth over the last 20 years has fallen quite a bit short of growth over the previous 20 years.
This, he said, poses a significant challenge for the region.
And this ought to be cause for some concern, because it presents the Caribbean with an aggravated challenge. And that challenge is to reverse the trend of slower growth at a time when global growth itself is also declining.
Dr. Clark warned that the continued stagnation could hinder economic opportunities across the Caribbean, though he acknowledged exceptions such as Guyana, which has experienced average growth of 45% over the past 3 years.
Let us be clear about what is at stake. Slower growth in the Caribbean slows the improvement in living standards and stymies the aspirations of Caribbean people for better opportunities. Slower growth in the past has also meant that convergence in income levels between the Caribbean and advanced economies has stalled. In other words, the gap between the fortune of the Caribbean national and that of her counterpart in the advanced world is growing wider.
He underscored the importance of pursuing economic stability as a critical step for policymakers to reverse the decline. However, he cautioned that there is no quick fix or one-size-fits-all solution to the problem.
The vibrant spirit of the Caribbean came alive in Beijing, China on Sunday. This, as the third installment of the Caribbean Experience, welcomed locals to immerse themselves in island culture, music and flavor from 10 Caribbean countries, including Trinidad and Tobago. Daniel John was there and tells us more in this report.
The Caribbean Experience 2025 saw an influx of patrons who came to experience the warmth of the islands. Stalls from across the region offered locals a taste of Caribbean heritage. But it was Trinidad and Tobago's booth that stole the spotlight as it drew eager crowds to get a taste of Angostura rum and try their hand at playing our national instrument, the steel pan. Head of Chancery of Trinidad and Tobago's embassy in Beijing, Adrian Thomas, shared the inspiration behind the booth.
So you can see the red, white, and black representing all aspects of Trinidad and Tobago. We wanted to highlight because red is also a very special color in China as well. And people are always very, very interested by this red bird called Scarlet Island. So we thought that this would be something that would pique up people, our visitors' imagination. So I think we tried our best to show as lovely a picture of our beautiful Twin Island Republic that is Trinidad and Tobago.
Representative in China for First Caribbean Management Company Limited, Jerry Huang, said he's hoping to see Angostura rum gain a strong foothold in the Chinese market.
In the event, we bring 2 famous items from Extuna, which are peaches and the rum. Also, our mission is to let more Chinese people know this brand and introduce this brand to the Chinese people.
And while many were interested in the rum, it wouldn't be a Caribbean event without a Trini performance. This year, the event was chaired by Guyana. Guyanese ambassador to China, An Yin Chu, said the event continues to grow each year.
So it started from what was like a crowd of 500 the first year, and then it increased last year to about 800 persons. This year, the number is East in China. It's sort of like a cultural exchange platform to bring a piece of the Caribbean to Beijing.
Jamaica, Dominica, Grenada, Suriname, Barbados, Haiti, Antigua and Barbuda, and the Bahamas were also featured in the 2025 offering. In 2026, Grenada will assume chairmanship of the Caribbean Experience. Daniel John, TTT News.
In sports, we begin with football. Ahead of their opening match in the CONCACAF Gold Cup, head coach Steve McLaren of Jamaica's Reggae Boys highlighted the importance of maintaining focus throughout the month-long competition. The national senior men's team is set to face Guatemala Monday night at 9 p.m. in California, United States. This will mark the second encounter between the two sides in 6 days, following Jamaica's convincing 3-0 victory in the second round World Cup qualifier at the National Stadium last Tuesday. The Reggae Boys previously edged Guatemala 1-0 in the quarterfinals of the 2023 Gold Cup before being eliminated by eventual champions, Mexico, in the semifinals. Coach McLaren shares that optimism but stresses the need for intentional effort, starting with the Guatemalan match. He believes the team's defense will be a key factor in their quest to finally secure the coveted trophy. In cricket news, the West Indies beat Ireland by 62 runs to clinch a T20 series victory on Sunday. Evan Lewis and West Indies captain Shea Hope executed a 122-run partnership for the first wicket in only 10.3 overs. The West Indies win was enough to seal the series after the first two games were abandoned without a ball being bowled on Thursday and Saturday. Brief scores were West Indies 256 for 5 in 20 overs, Ireland 194 for 7 in 20 overs. And that's it for the news on PBCJ. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. Thanks for watching.